Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day. Inshallah, today I'm going to present to you our research on the topic of financing exposure of Malaysian Islamic banks in agriculture sector. So my name is Muhammad Azhari bin Wahid as the main author, and this paper is also co-authored by Dr. Muhammad Syukur Harun and Associate Professor Muhammad Ridwan Abdul Aziz. So first of all, I would like to share with you why we are motivated to study this issue. As you know, that agriculture sector is important to ensure the adequacy of food in one country. So according to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, they expect or they assume that in the year 2050, the amount of food needed for global population will be nearly 70% more than what we consume in 2009. Yeah? So food security is a major issue. Yeah? It's a major issue and also a major concern, not only on the global level, but also in the case of our country, Malaysia. So the data from Department of Statistics Malaysia reported that in 2017, 16 out of 33 commodities in Malaysia recorded self-sufficiency ratio of more than 100%. However, several commodities which are considered important, Malaysians consume them daily, are still less than 100% of self-sufficiency ratio and could not enough to supply for the local demand. For example, the country self-sufficiency ratio for rice, our staple foods, is around 70% only out of 100%. So, and for the vegetables, the self-sufficiency ratio is just 48%, not even half 50%. Yeah? SSR or self-sufficiency ratio for beef is around 25%, and self-sufficiency ratio for mutton is just around 10.7%. So this is quite alarming for Malaysia. In the case of rice, for example, so Malaysia have to import their rice in order to fulfill the local demand by 30%, and we import the rice from our neighboring countries such as Thailand, Vietnam, and also Pakistan. As we are relying on the foreign countries to cover the shortage of our rice supplies, so it may happen in certain situation where foreign countries may decide to stop exporting rice to us, so leaving Malaysia without enough supply of rice to fulfill the need of its population. Even if in certain situations such as war or global food crisis, it has happened in 2008, where the importers of rice refused to export their production out of their countries. Yeah? So this gives a signal that food security is a real case for Malaysia, especially it relates to the staple foods which Malaysia consume daily. However, despite of the importance of agriculture sector in order to ensure food security, numerous studies have revealed that the agriculture business owner faced various challenges in running agriculture business. So focus have been given on the issue of production risk, technological risk, price market risk, plant disease risk, pest attack, changes of government policy, climate changes, natural disaster, and also personal risk. So, and one of the important problem also that happen facing the agriculture business is related to the funding problem. So although the government has allocated funds for agriculture business, but the amount is not adequate because of the of the nature of agriculture business, which normally requires extensive amount of funds for the projects. So as the sources of funds is quite limited. So we have formal and informal funds. So this calls for a role of Islamic financial services, especially when the Islamic financial services is focusing in achieving the value-based intermediary. However, the Islamic financial services facing also constraint, especially in providing financing to agriculture sector due to the perceived high risk of the agriculture sector. So that's why we are motivated to study this issue in order to understand the first step to understand the financing exposure of the Malaysian Islamic banks towards the agriculture sector. So the objective of this study is first to examine the exposure of financing of Islamic banks in Malaysia towards the agriculture sector. Second, the second objective is to propose mechanisms to enhance role played by the Islamic banks. So from the literature review, we found out that the agriculture financing is having the formal finance and informal finance in order to finance the agriculture activities. Yeah. In the case of Malaysia, for example, agriculture financing is channeled through subsidies and incentives program from the Department of Agriculture in Malaysia. Despite the subsidies, incentives and the financing offered by government and its agency, there are few or major obstacles faced by the agriculture business owner. So because the business owner normally require high costs in order to expand in establishing new plantations, and also the recurring cost of financing crops for the 4 to 5 years that are generally required before yields and revenues become significant. Yeah. Besides, the additional funds are also needed for farm to invest in productivity, in improving post-harvest practices, smoothing the household cash flow, enabling the better access to markets, and also to promote better risk management. So that's why the agriculture business owner requires extensive amount of funds in order to ensure the sustainability of their agriculture project. So from the literature as well, we found out that the Islamic banking have also contributed to the agriculture sector. Studies by Abdul Aziz 2011 and Borhan and Abdul Aziz in 2010 found out a survey on 3 different banks in Malaysia, such as Agrobank, Bank Rakyat and Maybank Islamic. So they found out that among these 3 banks, so Agrobank have contributed more towards the agriculture sector. So the role of Islamic banks, as we see that from 2017, the Bank Negara Malaysia have underlined the new approach for Islamic banks, which is the role of Islamic bank as a value-based intermediary. So the function of value-based intermediary is to strengthen roles and impact of Islamic banking institutions towards providing positive and sustainable values, not only to the economy but also to the community and the environment. And the objective of value-based intermediary is basically to promote greater innovation, enhance efficiency, and also ensuring the effective ecosystem. So VBI activities currently have been taken by the Islamic banks in Malaysia. Among others are strategic collaboration among banks in order to enhance the role as the value-based intermediary, the Wakaf initiative, education initiative, and also community empowerment. So maqasid syariah from the perspective of Islam, we see here daruriyat is the most important things. It's the basic foundation of the objective of Sharia. So among others are the necessities such as food, clothing, dwellings, education, health, care, and also security. So as food security is among the basic necessity that is important for the people. So ensuring adequacy of food is vital and obligatory. This is based on the Islamic legal maxims, which says that when an obligation cannot be fulfilled without a means, then the means become obligatory. So in this case, ensuring food security is very important. It's considered as daruriyat. So everything that contribute towards achieving food necessity is also obligatory. So that's why we explore the roles and responsibility of the Islamic Bank towards financing the agriculture activities in order to ensure the adequacy of food security in Malaysia. So the methodology that we use in this study is this descriptive analysis. We will see it from the financial statement of 15 Malaysian Islamic banks, and from the time period of from 2008 to 2017. So the results shows that if you see here, the amount in terms of amount, the total financing or in agriculture sector is increasing from year to year. From year to year is increasing, and the changes is quite good. However, when compared to the total financing of agriculture over the total financing, the amount of contribution towards agriculture sector is quite small. So why does this happen? So what we can think of is maybe this is because of the limited funds available in the Islamic banking system. So the Islamic banking system have to focus on sectors which contribute more towards our GDP, and then of course the economic activities will contribute or will in return will give more benefit or profit to the Islamic banks. And also maybe that is because of the perceived high risk exposure which requires specific or special treatment by the Islamic banks, and the cost of managing this high risk is quite substantial. So that's why maybe Islamic banks decide to focus more on sectors which have lower risk but at the same time contribute more to their profit. So what needs to be done in order to increase financing exposure of Islamic banks on agriculture sector? So several enablers must be put in place. For example, the first enabler would be developing innovative and sound risk management policies at all levels. And then the second enhancement that need to be done by Islamic banks before is to enhance the banking lending methodology. And also the Islamic banking institution should leverage on information technology, as this could help reducing the transaction cost of operating a bank, especially in rural areas. Besides, the banking institution or Islamic banks should also develop a sustainable financing package for agriculture sector. And another important enabler is to ensure the availability of insurance or takaful for the agriculture sector. So with that mechanisms, this expect that the agriculture sector will gain more financing from the financial institution, especially the Islamic banks, and will also help the Islamic banks to contribute to the issue of food security, and at the same time achieving their goals as the financial value-based intermediary. So thank you very much. With that, I end my presentation with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and thank you very much.